Hi there everyone, welcome back to Engineering with Pritam. In this video, we will dive into dimensions and constraint in PTC Creo Parametric, which are very crucial for defining your sketch and maintaining design intent in Creo sketch environment. So without further ado, let's get started. So let me quickly go in sketch mode first, and then let's understand the importance of dimensions and constraint. Dimensions and constraint are essential for precise and accurate sketches in PTC Creo Parametric. Although whenever we choose any entity inside PTC Creo Parametric, it itself going to create these dimensions. Not only dimension, but PTC Creo Parametric will also allow you to create on-the-fly constraints. And obviously that is not enough. We need to make our model fully constrained, and obviously in case of PTC Creo Parametric or any 3D modeling software, you create the shape first and then define the dimension. So in this video, we will be seeing how you can dimension your shape or entity and provide constraint. Dimension and constraint, as I said before, is very essential for creating a precise and accurate sketches. They help you to control the size, position and relationship between sketch entities, ensuring you the design intent is maintained throughout the modeling process. Fully designed sketches are less prone to errors and make it easier to modify your design at later stages. Now let's talk about how we're going to apply our dimension. So to apply your dimension, we need to sketch our entities, and here you can see I have already created some of these entities, although this look completely rubbish, but we can actually have a look how we can apply dimension. I would like to tell you that this video is part of full and free course of Mastering Creo Parametric. So if you want to check out the complete playlist, then I'm gonna place it in the description of this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel to follow these kind of tutorials. Now let's begin and let's talk about how we can dimension our entity inside PTC Creo Parametric environment. So I'm gonna place few more entities here, for example rectangle or a circle. Now you may see that the Creo automatically create some dimension, but these dimensions are weak, and you may identify weak dimension by the color, as well as whenever you hover on it, you will see the weak is written in bracket. So what does this mean? This means that these are automatically created dimensions. Now in order to provide dimensioning in PTC Creo environment, you just need to make a double click on dimension, and then you can provide it a value. For example, I want this to be 200, so I can do that. And then further I can also lock this dimension. Locking this dimension will ensure that whether you play with the entity dynamically, the value will not change. This value will only change whenever you're going to change this value manually, then only you will able to change this value, or else it will not. There is also a setting in PTC Creo Parametric which by default will turn on locking as soon as you change the value. For example, as of now, if I change this value, it will turn royal blue from sky blue, which again shows that this is a modified dimension and now got converted to strong, but still it is not locked. So in order to lock this dimension, we can go to file, option, and then we need to go to sketcher, and here you will find the option which says lock modify dimension. Now if I click on OK, and next time if I change any value, for example this one, I'm gonna make it 200. This time what you will see is the software itself automatically lock this value, just because I have enabled that in setting. In order to save that setting permanently, you can again go to file, option, and then click on export configuration. And in this way we can add this setting to our master configuration file. Now next time we do not need to worry about locking dimension. Now here you can see I'm not able to change this value dynamically. Now I am only able to change either this value, which was again strong dimension, and this value, and these two values are now locked. So I may not able to play with these values because they are locked. So in this way guys, we can dimension and further lock these values. Now let's talk about, let's say you would like to provide radius here instead of diameter. So how we can do that? We simply need to click on dia, and here you will see option to convert this value as a radius. So now instead of dia, it is showing me a radius. Now you may able to define the radius value whichever you want. In this way guys, we can provide dimension. Now Creo Parametric automatically take a reference. For example, the circle have considered the edge of this rectangle as one reference, and another reference he have considered this construction line. Now what if I want to change this reference from the edge of the circle, because I do not want the circle to be dependent on this rectangle? In that case, what I can do is I need to press Ctrl button and I need to select the center of the circle or maybe the circumference, and in this way guys, we will see this menu button and we can choose this distance option. So now here what we saw is we have created a reference which is from the tangent of circle, but obviously I do not want that, so I can delete this one. And now here what we can see is we are seeing reference of the circle from the center. This is all I was looking for, and that's how guys we may play with the dimension. Now one more thing I would like to show you is how we can create arc length in case of arc. Let me create arc here, and now instead of providing this radius, what I would like to do is I would like to calculate the arc length. So in order to do that, what actually I can do is I just need to click on this radius, and then here we can see we have this diameter option and then this linear option. So this linear option basically telling me the dia, but I really do not need that. What I need is arc length. So how we can get it? I need to press this dimension button, and now simply select the dimension and choose both these endpoint, and then simply press scroll wheel on the top side, and in this way guys, we will able to get this arc length. So this method is not so common and easy to find. So I hope that this tutorial will give you some extra value by knowing those techniques which are not commonly available or not commonly used. Now I'm gonna show you one more thing which is known as baseline, which actually help you to create ordinate dimension. So let's say you have this entity which is zigzag and you want to create ordinate dimension for this, since there will be so many dimensions here and I want it to look simpler. So what actually I can do is I can click here on baseline, and then I'm defining this point as baseline. Now on the top hand side, I will press my scroll wheel and then I'm gonna select vertical. So in this way guys, we have defined this as a 0. Now again, this time I'm gonna select dimension, and then I'm going to select this baseline, and now I will choose all these points. And now let me again click here on the top side, and there we go. Now here, instead of these so many dimension, I can easily by selecting this 0, after choosing this dimension, I can create this ordinate dimension, which I would say is very easy, and here you can see it look much more cleaner than it was before. So in this way guys, we can create this ordinate dimension, or we can utilize this baseline. One more thing I would like to show you is perimeter. So what perimeter will do is it will help you to calculate your perimeter by making it constant. So here as I clicked on this perimeter tool, it is asking me select the geometry whose total will be governed by perimeter dimension. So let me select these all geometry that will be part of the perimeter, and now let me hit OK. So based on what it is asking here in message below, now I need to select the dimension whose value will be driven by perimeter dimension. So we are defining here a variable. Now let me define this dimension as variable. Okay, and now here what we will see is whatever change I make on other dimension, the perimeter will remain constant, and let's say if I increase or decrease the other value by any number, the perimeter of this entire entity will remain constant, and it will play with this variable dimension. So let me now make it 350, and you will see that still this value is 1187, and now this value changed to 309. Now let me also add this one as dimension. Now let me change this value to 200, and there we go. Here we can see the perimeter is constant, and because these two are equal, so that is why these both values are changing. I hope guys you are now well versed with applying dimension. Now let me just clear every entity here, and let me quickly define two reference datum planes. And now let's talk about applying geometry constraints. Geometry constraints help us define the relationship between sketch entities such as parallel, perpendicular, horizontal, and many other, as you can see listed here. Now let me quickly show you some of example. So you may see some of automatic constraints are being recommended by software even when you are just plotting the sketch. So these kind of constraints are also known as on-the-fly constraints. So here you can see one such constraint. Here the software is asking us to put is horizontal, which you can basically lock by making a right click. So now you will see we have defined this constraint to be applied on this entity. But let's say you just want opposite of it. You do not want to create a horizontal line, but a line that is at, let's say, some minutes or some seconds, but not perfectly horizontal. Then I would suggest you to make another right click, and then that's how guys we can define a line which is not perfectly horizontal. So these kind of constraint you will always find. So here we can see the software is offering us vertical constraint, and now coincident and vertical both. Similarly here it have offered us a parallel constraint, and we can always lock it utilizing the right mouse button. It is also offering us the coincident constraint, which lets us finish the endpoint of the sketch that I am trying to draw at same x distance. So now I have locked both constraints, and in this way guys we can improve our sketch quality even on the go. Now this was all about on the fly constraint. Now let's talk about the normal way of applying constraint. So let me quickly draw a line here, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to apply horizontal constraint on this line, and there we go. Here we can see now this line is perfectly horizontal. Let's say I'm gonna make this one as vertical, so I can simply select the constraint, and that's how guys we have made this vertical. We also saw that the size of this line is too small, so I'm gonna use coincident, and I'm going to select the endpoint of this line segment and this reference line, making it slightly taller. I also would like to create coincident constraint between the line segment or endpoint of these both points. So here you can see you may also find the situation when we are trying to over constrain some of entities. So in that case we can delete some of entities. So here in this situation, let me delete this constraint horizontal or vertical, and that's how guys we can see here we have successfully applied the coincident constraint. Now I also want to mention perpendicularity here, which again I do not need to define because this is already horizontal and this one is already vertical. So we can see guys how these constraints are helping us to fully constrain these entities. So far we have seen vertical constraint, horizontal and perpendicular. Now let's have a look on tangent constraint. So let's say there is a line and I want this line to be tangent to the circle, and let me just constrain this circle distance from the reference line. And since we can see here this one is horizontal constraint, so I don't want situation to arrive of over constraint, so I'm going to select this constraint and I'm going to delete it manually. Now let's choose this tangent, and now let me choose this circle and line, and that's how guys we can apply this tangent constraint. Now let me choose this line, and this time I would like to apply this midpoint. So this time I'm going to choose the endpoint of line segment and another line segment, and automatically we have seen how easy it was to attach to the midpoint of this line segment utilizing midpoint constraint. Now we already have seen the capability of coincident, which will let you to coincide with two endpoint or even help you to connect to a line or entity utilizing coincident constraint. Now let me quickly show you the symmetric constraint, which is basically saying that make things or object symmetric to a reference line. So let me click here on symmetric and let me select, and just you need to follow the message that shows here, which is select the straight reference and the two vertices or a point to make them symmetric. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to select the straight reference, and now I'm going to select these two vertices to make this entity symmetric. And there we go. Here we can see it is perfectly symmetric. Now if I play with this geometry, because of the symmetricity, the changes will reflect on the both side. So that's how guys we can utilize this symmetric constraint. Now let me draw another arc, and this time I would like to utilize the equal constraint. So as the name suggests, it's going to make things equal. Now here we can see it is equal in terms of radius. So if I change the radius of one geometry, because these both are now connected with equal constraint, so we can see that driven entity also got modified. Similarly, we can also define any entity as a parallel. So just click on parallel, click on both entities, and that's how guys we can make it parallel. So a lot of people may also get confused that we just want the driven or the second entity to be parallel to the first one. So in order to make sure that this happen, you need to make your entity fully constrained. When you're going to make your entity fully constrained, you will not face any such challenge. Then you also have this option, I guess, that got left, which was defining reference dimension. You would like to define any dimension as a reference. Now sometimes this also happen that my model, for example, is fully constrained and I want some kind of reference dimension. So in that case, what we can do is we may utilize this reference dimension option. So for example, this model is fully constrained and is utilizing this line, and we also have defined diameter. Now what I want is I want to see how much the value will be from center of this point to this vertical reference line. So in this way guys, we also have an option to create a reference dimension. A reference dimension in Creo Parametric or any other CAD software is a dimension that provide informational measurement about the geometry of a model without controlling or driving the size or position of the geometry. Reference dimensions are used for design communication or for reference during the design process, but they do not affect the model geometry directly. So you may able to create as many as reference dimension as you want. And since this is not going to create any over constraining problem, so there is no issue at all. As I already spoke about these dimensions, that you may not able to modify this because this is just for informational purpose. We haven't covered every tool inside Sketch yet, so maybe in my next video I'm gonna cover some of the tools that we left in our previous video, and then we will be jumping to our next section. So that's all guys from my side in this video. I hope that you find this video helpful and informational, and if this video adds value in your Creo Parametric skill, then I would recommend you to subscribe to our channel to see more such informational and value addition videos. Till then, take care and bye bye.